low, get off the low.
Are we ready to go?
Right.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Paul's not away on vacation, so I was asked to just chair this meeting, but this is good time, I think, to mention the board doesn't have a vice chair, which is very weird. Statute's silent on that. It just the governor appoints a chair, but for the future, I don't know if we want to have discussion at some point if, you know, when the chair is not here, if somebody wants to designate someone to be the acting chair. I said yes this time, like no meeting, so if anybody else wants to do it next time, feel free, but I think that we've had a discussion. I don't know if we can do that. The statute silent, but I've just never been on a board before where there's a vice chair. It's kind of a.
Yeah, you could certainly establish one for procedural ease.
Yes, my understanding there had been previously, maybe years ago, there had been a vice chair. It just when you have a situation where there's chair can't be there, and it'd be nice to have someone designated. So anyway, I just put that on. I think maybe we should maybe talk about that next meeting. We have time. It's all it's a busy meeting. And just my 2 cents. It takes away this like, well, decides who gets to be the acting chair. Well, anyway, I throw it out there. So before we get started with the actual agenda, I think we go around. So we have a lot of specialists. We have a lot of people virtual tonight, a lot of board members. Everybody's introduce themselves first. I guess let's start online. Board members, I can't read who's who up there, so.
Neil Hogan, Bennington County.
Heather Furman, Chittenden County.
Beth Steimling, Grand Isle County.
Nick Burnham, Windsor County.
Martin Van Buren, Rutland County. Did that come through?
It did. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other board members online? Right.
Ryan Kilborn, Orange County.
Bob Patterson, Addison County. Jeff Corey, Franklin County. Richard Craig, Wall County.
John Bellson, Jackmo, Washington County. Right. Next, yes.
Yeah,
The department.
just like to take a minute to recognize that our director of our fish division retired last week, Eric Palmer, after over 30 years of service and 25 plus years as director. And we're joined tonight by his replacement, James Brady. I asked James just to say a couple words about himself and hopes and dreams, and then he could bugger out since he's not on the agenda tonight.
Yeah, well, thanks everyone. James Brady. I've been in the department just about over 4 years as a program manager and then as a habitat protection biologist in the fish division. Prior to that, I've been in state governments. This is my 16th year in state government in Vermont, almost in my 20th year in natural resources field. So I'm excited to kind of take on this role and kind of use everything I've learned over the years and all the relationships that I've made and kind of hit the ground running and trying to keep the momentum that Eric built over his tenure. So it'll be a while before I come close to his institutional knowledge, but I'll do the best that I can to keep the ball rolling. I'm excited to work with you. I'm excited to get to know you more in the board process. I was tangentially involved during our commercial and bait fish rule changes last year, so I got to kind of see the process there, and I look forward to any new regulations that we are brought up from our staff and constituents to make fishing better, safer, and healthier moving forward. So thank you all. Appreciate it, your service here, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. And you're obviously welcome to stay as long as you want.
Thank you. I'll stick around a little bit.
And I don't know if there are any foreign faces in the room as far as our department goes, but you're welcome to introduce yourselves. Abigail?
Abigail Connolly, Principal Assistant Commissioner. Deanna Smith, General Counsel.
John Austin, Director of Wildlife Division. David Salzville, Program Manager. Justin Stedman, Director of the Warden Service.
Mr. Bowden.
You all. First on the agenda is approval of previous minutes.
I move to accept the printed. Second.
The discussion on the minutes.
Yeah, I have I'm sorry, I apologize for the camera. I can't get it to work, so you're just talking to a blank me. On page 5, the first paragraph, the second sentence, it says to take a black bear during the bear season, a person must, in addition to having a valid Vermont big game hunting license, possess a second bear tag issued separately. I think that should just, I think second is not supposed to be there because down further in the sentence, it says to take a second bear tag. Am I correct there? They don't need a second bear tag to take a first bear, correct?
Correct, you need a bear tag.
So this says to take a black bear, a person must possess a second bear tag issued separately. I think the second is I don't think the second should be in that sentence because it's down further. Second bear
think you're
tag.
right. Yeah, Abigail's gonna pull the minutes up so we can look at them, but Beth, I think you're right. That is confusing. What it's meant to convey is that to take a bear, you do need a bear tag in addition to your hunting license. But
Yes,
I agree that we should not refer to it as a second bear tag since we're using that term specifically to mean a tag for taking a second bear that season.
yeah.
Beth, this is Jason Batchelder. These are part of the minutes. Would you just let me know what page that you're on so I can find those? I've got them up here.
Yeah, page 5. It's the first paragraph and the first sentence is really long, so it's the second sentence. To take a bear season. So I think it should just say to take a black bear during the bear season, a person must, in addition to having a valid Vermont big game hunting license, possess a bear tag issued separately. Isn't that correct?
That was a discussion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it about, well, that's not a final decision. That's just the minutes for the early discussion, right? The
Yeah.
question was that a question about whether now we get a big game, you get your deer tag, your buck tag, you get your bear tag. Is that going to be now they're going to be separate? You're going to have to pay for the bear tag separately?
I guess I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I think that's a typo. That's all.
Yeah, I don't think it should be a second bear tag. Should just have a bear tag, right? You don't have
Yeah.
to buy a second one, but
Yes.
I'm trying to remember the discussion versus what we finally decided. I think that's the right.
It took me a minute, but
Oh,
I think
that's fine.
Beth
Yeah,
was
I see
right.
it, yeah.
If you start reading it, board member Martin Van Buren, and you continue, you'll get to it.
We get rid of
Get rid of the word second.
second, yeah.
Oh,
So,
sorry. Third sentence.
Eliminate the word second.
So we just need we have a motion, a second. We need to, is there a friendly amendment to amend the minutes?
Yes,
I
I agree with that.
You agree with that? So we'll amend, motion's been amended to accept by editing, moving the word second from page 5, whatever line that is. Okay. All right, any other, thank you for that. Any other comments or thoughts? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Say no. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Aye.
Next is public comment period, and for those of you who haven't been here before, it's a 2-minute limitation. I do believe there's someone who's virtually who asked to go first.
actually see her, so we can move back to virtual when you're done with the room.
All right, so I have 3 people signed up. President, first is Rod. Afternoon, how are you?
Pretty good. Hope you're okay. Everybody? You're good. Great. Thanks. Hey, everybody. Hope you're all having a Rod Coronado, town of Orange, live and work at Sage Mountain Botanical Sanctuary. Also the state director for Vermont Wildlife Patrol. Also an avid trout fisherman. And that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit off topic. Is loons. Another success story for Vermont. And I've been working as a volunteer for the Vermont Center for Eco Studies, participating in their loon surveys. It's mostly because since living here in Vermont, going out in the spring, as soon as sugaring's done, that's when I go trout fishing and go to stock ponds, and I love seeing the loons there. And so what I've learned after being a volunteer is that even though lead weights smaller than half an ounce have been banned, that jigs that are less than half an ounce have not. And a lot of legal fishing tackle is still killing about half of loons in Vermont. Half of those loons, I think it's been about 10 loons since 2009 that have ingested legal lead fishing weight. So I just wanted to raise that issue because, and maybe for you too, Mr. Brady, welcome to the department. And maybe this is an issue we can work on together because I love to go fishing, but I hate thinking that my equipment, well, you know, I've removed a lot of my lead weights, but I still see a lot of entangled line out there. And I just think there needs to be a lot more education and also potentially changing that rule to include all lead weights under half an ounce, not just lead sinkers, not the jigs. Again, this is something that I think would build a lot of public social carrying capacity for fishing. You know, a lot of people, you know, don't like to see the started fishing line, and I think all of us have a responsibility to pick that up when we're out there fishing too. So anyhow, just raising your attention to that. You're out there on the lakes or ponds. Hope you're noticing the loons. It's like 160 nesting pairs now in the state. A great success story. Thank you, all the department, for helping make that happen. Thanks.
Next, and I'm sorry, I can't read the writing too well. So Pam
That's me, Pam Parrott.
and Perry, okay.
Hi, my name is Pam Parrott. I live in Plainfield. Lifelong Vermonter. Come from a family where dad hunted deer. And I just wanted to speak about the extended bear season. And it just certainly rubs me the wrong way to think about killing a bear in their death. And it seems to me that that's something that shouldn't be able to. As I understand it, the hunting season is extended, and it is possible that the bears may be in their dens. And I personally think that they should have a little bit of a break, be able to relax for a week or two, go into their dens and not be killed there. I think it's an ethical thing. And I think most Vermonters would feel the same way. Thanks.
Thank you. It's Bob Galvin.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bob Galvin. Live in Richmond, wildlife lover, and appreciate you all being here this evening. Wanted to share tonight some information that has recently come out from the Society of Conservation Biology North America. This is a kind of repository of conservation research in North America, scientists, researchers, federal officials, lots of different partners and stakeholders that form this society. And earlier this year, they released a kind of new definition of conservation. And I'm gonna, and this definition was like painstakingly crafted over 10 months. It included researchers, educators, students, retired state and federal natural resource professionals, and other members of the public interested in conservation. So this definition is, quote, conservation is a practice informed by the best evidence-based science and place-based knowledge whose outcomes protect and restore the natural environment, including its air, soil, water, biological diversity, ecosystem processes, and evolutionary potential to ensure equitable benefits derived from nature and safeguard its value for current and future generations of all life, end quote. And that's a cool definition. There's terms and other supporting information on the Society for Conservation Biology North America, but I wanted to specifically talk about the definition for biological diversity, which is, quote, from unique genomic sequences up to the highest levels of taxonomic organization and assemblages of life, including every taxonomic level in between, constitute the diversity of life on Earth. We specifically include the protection of individual non-humans because they have been historically ignored because of a conservation biology focused on populations or species and an elevation of human needs above all other life, end quote. And so when we're thinking about conservation and what that means.
I just see you wrapped up.
Totally. I'll continue to expound on this, but just would love the consideration of what it would mean to manage wildlife in consideration of individuals within a population as well. Thank you.
That's all I have. Is there any who signed up? Is there anybody else here who's present? Like to speak? No? Okay, anybody? I see a hand up online.
Sarah Gorsuline.
Sarah, can you hear us?
Hi, yes. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad that worked this time. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and having a good summer. My name is Sarah Gorsline. I live in Grand Isle. I represent Project Coyote in Vermont. As many of you know, we advocate for practical coexistence measures with wild carnivore species, and we work with a range of allies, including wildlife agencies. I'd like to thank the board for your incredibly hard work on the bear rules recently. I look forward to hearing the feedback from public commentary on these rules, and I appreciate that you have listened to public commentary already and incorporated some suggestions into the rules. Regulations are made for outliers and not for those who abide by accepted standards of behavior. Regulations are not intended to criminalize those who did a certain activity in the past, but instead to turn toward the future with guidance on standards that are acceptable for hunting in the current environmental and climate conditions we're living in now. Whenever regulations offer increased hunting opportunities for a specific species, there should be a consideration of the other impacts of this change. This board should not be hesitant to apply some common sense regulations to work together with other regulations that are currently being discussed. So that brings me to if bear season will be extended and overlaps meaningfully with bear denning season, which I've heard concern from the public and board members about, then why not create a common sense regulation that bans the killing of denning bears with or without cubs? This regulation doesn't communicate that this happens often in Vermont. We hope it rarely happens. The bear hunters I've spoken to find this unacceptable. But the regulation serves as guidance to those who don't share accepted hunting standards. How would a ban on the killing of denning bears limit bear hunters? I would ask the board. And also, what harm will be caused if this regulation is enacted? Weigh that against the benefit of having a rule like this that reassures the public that this particularly disturbing practice won't happen during a longer bear hunting season. The longer season is ultimately a benefit to bear hunters, and this should be balanced with this regulation as a compromise. I also encourage the board to consider that if 2 bear tags are issued to hunters at the beginning of the season, this might.
Sarah, I gotta ask you to wrap it up. Sorry, we're past the 2-minute mark.
Okay, thank you so much. I was just going to mention that the 2 bear tags, if they're issued at the same time, it may enable a hunter to kill 2 bears within the same family of bears in a wildlife management area. So I just wanted to encourage the board to think about possibly issuing the 2nd bear tag once the 1st bear killed has been checked in. Thank you. Those were my comments. I appreciate the extra time.
Thank you, Sarah. There's somebody else.
Could I make it, I'm sorry to sign my name in, but it's.
Yeah, we're gonna go through, finish with the people. There's some hands up there online.
Yep.
Sophie Bowater.
Sophie Bowater, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you see me?
Yes, go ahead.
Wonderful. Hello, Fish and Wildlife Board and Department. My name is Sophie Bowater. I come from Middlesex, Vermont. I'm commenting tonight on behalf of the Vermont Coyote Coexistence Coalition, whose supporters seek more humane wildlife laws rooted in the best available science and hunting ethics. Regarding the bear rule under consideration, the department completely changed its course from a 1-week bear hunting extension to a 1-month extension, after receiving a petition from the former Fish and Wildlife Board Chair, Kevin Lawrence, who requested extending the season to December 15th. The department made this change with zero justification or explanation. We ask that the board reverse its decision and adopt the department's initial recommendation. If the board does not reverse its decision, it is imperative that a rule be enacted prohibiting the hunting of hibernating bears, as most other states have done. There is no reason not to enact this rule. For those who claim it doesn't happen, there is no way to verify that what occurs in the field. Why would we want to make things easier for those unethical hunters? Prohibit this activity, please, outright, and send a clear message that Vermonters don't condone this kind of behavior. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else online?
Don't see any hands up, but if you are unable to raise your hand, you're welcome to unmute and make public comment.
Right, please say your name for the.
Yep. So my name is Diane Reynolds and I'm from Chittenden County. Seems to me that the board has decided they want to control the population or reduce the population of black bear, which I understand. I think everybody understands. To that end, you've created a 2-bear tag rule for the upcoming season. It's my understanding. Is that correct? So that, is that right?
Not for this year.
That's proposal.
It's
That was a proposal.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So to me, it seems like that is a generally accepted practice for bear population reduction. Makes perfect sense. So why don't we see how that plays out before you go to extending the bear season, where it is a possibility that a bear could be killed in a den. To have a hunter sneak up on a bear in a den and just shoot it like a pot shot, just killing it outright, I just think it's very unethical. So why don't we see what the 2-bear tag does for population before you create some more extreme measures? Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else who? All right. It's not sure. Anybody else? Thank you for those of you who showed up virtually in person. Next is the it's a second vote on the section 2 of the big game reporting rulemaking.
If the board doesn't mind, I think what I will do is share, hopefully this is where- I put together a response summary for all 4 of the rules that you're reviewing today. And I'll just provide a little refresher since some of these have been sort of in the board's purview for a while now. And I apologize to the folks who are online. There are hard copies in the room, but I will walk through this document while we're here. So just as a refresher, the rules that are currently that were on public notice were section 2, which is big game reporting, section 2A, big game tagging, section 5 with bow and arrow standards, and section 12, the leash tracking dog. The board originally reviewed 2A and section 5 back in October. There was a first vote on 2 and 2A in October, a first vote on section 5 at the December meeting, and then a first vote on the leash tracking dog rule at the December meeting as well. Then some additional discussion was had with the board around the game tagging rule. So another first vote was done during the May meeting. So there's been a lot of review of these rules. They're all fairly short and sweet, but I think I really appreciate the consideration that was given to these proposed changes throughout the last few months. So once all 4 of these rules had a first vote, we filed them with ICAR. They were approved by ICAR in June, and they were on public notice for the last month, essentially. There was a public meeting on June 17th to solicit feedback, or July 17th to solicit feedback on those rules. Several board members were there. There were only 4 members of the public in attendance, and no substantive comments were made during that meeting. But we did get 2 public comments submitted via email. As a brief synopsis, the big game reporting rule, the changes included the explicit prohibition of making false statements in the reporting of wild game taken. Actually, I will walk through these one at a time, so I'll just do the public comment. The comments that we got are summarized here. We got a comment asking what the biological and management consequences of false reporting were. And so the synopsis here provides that obviously accurate reporting of animals taken is essential to the department's harvest and then population estimates, but more specifically, the language in the reporting rule that bans false statements is to allow us for clear enforcement authority when false statements are made, specifically because now the issuance of a second buck tag requires taking a buck of a certain size and an antlerless deer. So it's crucial that we have the ability to actually effectively follow up on whether those standards are met before a second buck tag is issued. There was a question about what the tagging requirements do to maintain a clear chain of identification. And again, the tagging requirements are primarily intended to facilitate enforcement of hunting violations, to ensure that the hunter who is in possession of the animal took the animal within an open season with the appropriate implements and actually had the tag that was necessary to take that animal. There was a comment about what conservation or wildlife management objectives the bow and arrow standards are intended to achieve. And as we discussed, those standards, which have been in effect for a long time, but will now be applied to broadheads for crossbows, are intended to promote ethical harvest and reduce wounded animals on the landscape. A comment was made about whether the departments considered the effects of the expanded use of leash tracking dogs might have on other wildlife. And this was not a consideration that the department really looked into. The use of leash tracking dogs has been allowed during the hunting season, specifically, again, to prevent wanton waste on the landscape and to prevent injured animals from hunters being unable to find injured animals. They would be used outside of the season for the same reasons when there are car accidents or other reasons why an animal's injured on the landscape outside of poaching. And given the limited use of leash tracking dogs and the limited increase that we're anticipating, we're not expecting that there will be an impact on other, ground nesting birds or wildlife on the landscape. We also got a letter from Safari Club International in support of all the proposed rule changes. These public comments are attached to this summary, but you also received, the board received them last week. We have not gotten any additional public comments since the comment period closed last week. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the process or public comment period, and then I can walk through the rule language itself for a second vote.
One quick procedural question. We do these votes on voice vote, or do we have to do it by roll?
I think I prefer a roll call in this instance, since we are, we have a quorum, but it's not the full board, and we are voting formally to advance these to LCAR. So I would advise a roll call. All right, jump into the changes to section 2. And I think most of you have reviewed these extensively, but just this rule is related to reporting a big game. The first edit there is just to strike through the specific citation to the definitions so that in case the section 4001 is ever edited, we are referring to big game as defined in that section. The subparagraph A specifically bans a person knowingly making a false statement or including false information in reporting a big game. Again, in subsection B, that change is just to update the cross-reference to the moose management rule, which has been updated. We wanted the correct section number in there. And finally, subparagraph D makes the important change from the commissioner shall pay the authorized agent a fee. Currently, it is of $1. We're changing it to no less than $1 to be determined by the commissioner, which, given considering budgetary restraints, would allow the commissioner to actually reimburse authorized agents more. Again, to sort of promote the use of check stations, make that a feasible option for folks who run those check stations, and make them more widespread across the state for folks who are checking their animals in person.
They want to make a motion as to the first rule, the big game reporting.
Can make the motion to accept as presented.
Second that. Any questions or discussion? Hearing it, I'll go to the roll as I have it on Nicholas Gibbons. So Nicholas,
Yes.
Jeffrey? Yeah. Richard? Yeah. David Dean, did he appear or is he still not present? Beth?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Neil?
Yes.
Ryan? Robert?
Yes.
Self, yes. Martin?
Yes.
And nothing, so it's approved. So next would be the section 2A, the big game tagging.
This rule specifically deals with the requirements for tagging big game. The first change here in subparagraph A, similar to section 2, we just struck that pin site to the statute so that in case the statute's updated, we're generally referring to big game as defined in section 4001. We have included more specific language about what's required on when on a tag. So the applicable tag or permit information for that animal, which shall include person's name and tag or permit number. The big game tag, the tag shall remain on the carcass until such time as the animal is processed for consumption. We added subparagraph B, which just clarifies that landowners who take in big game on their property do need to tag that animal if it's being taken off site with their name and the address where the animal was taken, and the applicable permit number if a permit or tag was required for the taking of that animal. Subparagraph C clarifies the tagging requirements for parts of big game animals. If an animal is field dressed or cut into pieces prior to being processed, the containers that contain those animal parts must be marked with the name of the person who harvested that animal. And the last change to subparagraph D removes the requirement that packages of meat post-processing be individually tagged with the name of the person who took the animal, tag number, date, and the state or country of origin.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion to accept as presented.
Second. All right.
I have a question about the part D on that. I guess I was unsure when I read it that it was implied that the meat of that animal was packaged, and it doesn't really specify that. Is that, you know, we don't want to bring entire animals into the state, so I'm not sure. Is that something we should be concerned about, or is that implied somewhere that the animal is processed and packaged?
So it's not implied and it's not in practice done from all jurisdictions into the state. We're mainly monitoring for CWD and other like diseases and to my knowledge, the only regulation that we have is around CWD. But say if you were to import from New Hampshire, lived a mile away from the border, we wouldn't require you to have that animal processed, only reported per New Hampshire law before you brought it home. An animal coming from a CWD state would have to be packaged and processed, at least deboned and all of the other processes that you have to have that are listed in the regulation. But it's not specific to every time you bring an animal across our state lines from another jurisdiction. It depends where you brought it.
And that's covered in a different section, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Not all. Roll again. Nicholas,
Yes.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
President Bev,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Neil,
Yes.
Ryan.
Yep.
Robert.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Martin.
Yes.
Right, that's approved. Next is the section 5 bow and arrow standards, crossbow standards rule.
This one is even shorter and sweeter. We did strike through the entire sentence as written in order to draft this in the affirmative, but the standards themselves are not changing. We're just being clear that the standards for arrowheads also apply to broadheads used in crossbows. So arrowheads or broadheads must measure at least 7/8 an inch at their widest point and have 2 sharp cutting edges.
I would make a motion we accept that for the bow and arrow and the crossbow standard.
I can give it to Martin. Richard.
I'll second that.
Great, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll start the roll again. Nicholas,
Yes.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Neil,
Yeah.
Ryan,
Yes.
Robert.
Yes.
I vote yes, and Martin.
Yes.
Right, it's approved. Next is section 12, the leashed tracking dogs rule.
The changes to this rule are specifically to expand opportunities to use leash tracking dogs when animals are injured on the landscape. The first change here in the definitions is to big game animal. Previously, the definition was limited to deer and bear only. We're revising that to include all big games defined in statute. So to also include moose, it would include turkey. I understand these tracking dogs are not particularly effective with turkey, but it can be used for tracking big game, any big game. The second change here is in section 3.1. It strikes the language that limits the use of leash tracking dogs to big game seasons in the 24-hour period immediately following the last day of those seasons. There is an additional change in section 4.5 here that just clarifies before tracking a dead, wounded, or injured animal, whether during a big game season or outside of the season. So at any time, you do need to notify the state game warden assigned to the area. And that is the extent of the changes there.
You have a motion to approve the.
Move to approve the leash and tracking dog rulemaking. as presented.
Second.
Wants a second. Who's that? Is that
I think it was Heather.
Heather.
Okay, we've done Heather. All right, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
Yes,
Hearing none.
I have a question on section 4.4.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So, the licensee may use a handgun, etc. And during the 24-hour period immediately following the last day of a big game season. I'm not sure why that phrase is in there now, because it's now because we're extending the season, because we're extending the time when leash tracking dogs can be used. Why is that phrase in there?
That's a good question. I think that it could be struck.
Yeah.
Unless
I
you.
don't think we'd want to strike it because you wouldn't have any, like, uses for motor vehicle and stuff like that. You don't have the licensing, like, that wouldn't be person who hit that would be putting animal out of license. There'd be the least trash dog trap, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is just saying that the person during the season and for the 24 hours thereafter is still capable of putting the animal down. However, outside of that, it's the leash tracking dog owner, the actual leash tracking dog person that is the one that's authorized to put the animal down. Not some person who happened to hit a deer with a car in August and wants to go out and shoot the deer.
Oh,
So-
and that is clarified actually in 4.3, which specifies that during legal hunter period, it's the hunter who dispatches.
Yes, so, yeah,
Okay.
so that's why that would still remain, at least from my perspective.
Okay. Beth, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Nicholas,
Yes.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Neil,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
John, yes. Martin,
Yes.
approved. So this now will go to Elgar.
Yes, these will be filed with Elcar actually probably tonight. And they should be on the Elcar agenda August 23rd, I believe. It's a Thursday that week. And folks are welcome to come to the Elcar hearings. They're not, they're open to the public, but the same review that you've already seen in Elcar hearing before. And I will just follow up with an email confirming when they will be at Elkhart.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the commissioner's update.
Yeah, thanks. I think,
Marty has a question.
oh, please.
Oh, you're muted.
So when will this all take effect after LCAR? This year?
Yes, we're hoping to have these regs go into effect as soon upon adoption.
Okay.
The board will have the opportunity for a final vote if you wanted to extend the effective date. But I think that the department's approach was that these would go into effect on adoption.
Okay, because I had the dog guys call me today and ask about that. So that's why I asked that.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes.
So this could go into effect for this, it's not in the books. It could go into effect for leash tracking dogs. Go effect this year.
And we are hoping if the rules are approved by Elkhart on August 23rd, we are hoping to get these changes into the digest this fall. So there is a statutory 15-day delay period after ICAR approval before they can go into effect, but these could go into effect early September.
And again, I haven't done too many rules yet. The board, but so we doesn't come back to those for third vote, right?
It does come back to after Elkhart approves at the next board meeting, you will have the opportunity for a third vote.
September, we vote on it.
Then there's a 15-day period right after the final vote.
Technically, the 15-day period is from the date that Elkhart approves. So once they get to you, we'll be probably past that. You can have them go into effect on your vote.
Yeah, great. So as always, thank you to the commenters and the folks who take the time out of their day to come online and in person. And thank you to the board for coming a long way for a short meeting. I do have a couple of updates. I think the most significant one has already been said, but it can't be overstated the career that Eric Palmer had. I think you all got to work with Eric at least a little bit in the fish division, spanned decades, and people came and went from the department, hired and retired while he was still working, including me. And I got to be his co-director for 8 years, which was wonderful. James is going to be he's going to be in for it because of Eric's institutional knowledge, but Eric left him with a tome of documents with which to set out on with the right foot forward. And I encourage you all to get to know James. He's a brilliant mind, and I think he comes from a non-traditional background as opposed to sort of a hook and bullet heavy individual, which I think you'll find refreshing and engaging. We'll get into the fish rules again before we know it, and he'll be right there with us. You had, I think you had asked us a while back for some data on hunter orange, and I wish Chris was here to give you more of a scientific overview of what he would undoubtedly say is a non-scientific survey, but we put it on our point of sale when you buy a license starting last December 16th, which he told me captures the most avid hunters. People that buy their licenses come, December 31st, they can't wait to hit that button and enter their credit card. So he says those are our most avid hunters. And so when we get closer to November, which he'll continue to capture, those will be what he calls our less avid hunters, the people who they wait till the last minute to buy their license. They may only buy a hunting license, whereas the people in December tend to buy a combination. Last December, right? And so, but the numbers he gave me, I've got here, of the 42,076 people that took the survey, only 9% said they were not going to wear hunter orange. So that left us with 91% of people said they do wear it and they will wear it. And again, this isn't science based. This is only a snapshot into a subset of our individuals, but it was super interesting for me to see how many people of that window, plan on wearing hunter orange. And he went out of his way to say those people were adamant about wearing it. The people that were not were very adamant about not, which was also neat to see. John or Dave, did you get anything outside of that was worth mentioning?
Your summary is spot on, and we were encouraged by the high percentage of hunters that indicate that they wear hunter orange. They do wear hunter orange, and numbers was something on the order of 45,000 responses. That constitutes that 91%. So it's not insignificant.
Right. They could also kind of attest to the benefits of the hunter education program, promoting that over the decades from when I started. Hardly anybody or hunter orange been passed down to families and through the education process.
Yeah, I remember my father making sure I had it on, and he'd never wear it. Make sure you wear it on orange. I'll be over here. But yeah, I think that speaks to my education, and I'm sure, being in his 80s, he never took it. But yeah, that's a big credit to the hunter ed system that we have in place. We do have we're in the process of oh, please.
Yeah, on the hunter orange, I mean, I haven't looked at it in a while, but I had looked at, I don't know how accurate it was, of course, you're online, but it looked like we're like an outlier state when it comes to hunter orange requirements. I think like we're one of like 9 states don't have some form of mandatory orange, hunter orange, and for me personally, what got me thinking about wildlife hunted in a province. I mean, every place else I generally go, it's mandatory. With the doe hunting allowed in rifle, that's what sort of, for me personally, is what kind of brought it back to forefront for me. I'm actually pleased by these results so far. But I know for me, I would want to see this some form of mandatory hunter orange during at least the rifle season. Or the gun season, I should say. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know if the will of the have discussion. Somebody maybe put an agenda at some point.
I think it would be a good idea.
Yeah, I think I don't know if next I don't know. I'm not the chair, so I don't know what this agenda schedules look like the next month or 2. But yeah, well, is the survey still going on?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess it's either wait for the survey. I'm sure there's going to be an influx of people buying their licenses coming up in the next 2
survey
months.
will be in place throughout the rest of the calendar.
Yeah.
So we should
We get some during bear, we get some during archery, we get some during rifle.
well, I'll leave it up to everybody. I mean, survey's still going on. I don't know. We should start the conversations anyway, or we could do, or we have the right to make our own rule.
By the time we get through this hunting season, we might know if it's gonna be really necessary or not with rifles and does.
What's the total number of licenses we sell in a year? How many people buy a license? So we got 45,000 respondents right now. Problems, what, typically 70,000-80,000. So 50% of people that will purchase a license already have. So your number's not going to change that much. That 91% is not going to go down.
Well, that's what Chris is saying, that it might, because the people that have bought to this point are the avids. Avids tend to lean toward orange. Again, he wanted me to make sure you knew this wasn't science-based. This is his knowledge of human dimensions. But
It's not going to change significantly.
it may not say. It may not.
92 or 94?
91%.
91.
Yeah. But very, very interesting, to say the least. Yeah. So we're in the process of purchasing a new point of sale system in conjunction with the Agency of Digital Services, and I believe it was last week that some of the wardens and staff participated in a test day. I wasn't present, but we got 4 vendors in a room and tested out our process for buying, essentially how you go online and buy your licenses, and they had some clear favorites and some that didn't rise to the level of what they thought they wanted. So you'll within the next year and a half, I think a year and a half, we're looking at purchasing. You'll see a new point of sale system that's permanently used for what we use it for now and other things that you likely don't see. But I wish I had been part of it, but that was exciting. You all likely heard about the melanoma in our brown bullhead story that went out to the New York Times and a lot of other channels last week. That was 11 years or no, sorry, 2011 is when we discovered that, and that's been in the process of being studied by our staff and UVM for since that time, since 2012. Lots more to do, lots more to study. But fascinating to think that this is a transmissible cancer that's present in bodies of water here and in other places. They say that Tasmanian devils, some bivalves, some domestic dogs, and brown bullhead. Those are the four categories of organisms that can have this melanoma. Absent light, which most other melanoma requires some sort of UV light, and that there is yet to be determined, but likely no transmissibility outside of the species. Even though we are recommending that folks don't eat brown bullhead and tumors present. Just a fact, in case you haven't seen any of the articles, they're easy to find. They're absolutely everywhere.
Did they say, I've read, I can't remember which one I read, but they say they don't think it originated here. It came from, did it come from, they think it came from a different piece?
I don't remember reading that part.
I can't remember. I don't know. I can ask you later. Right.
Don't know. But you do remind me of something that I can't recall either about the individual cancer cells and how they are potentially different from fish to fish. But I wish James was here. We shouldn't let him go. He would have been able to tell us all about it. But anyway, if you haven't read about it, please do. It's absolutely fascinating. Dating even, I mean, and they quoted some Thoreau where he had seen lesions on bullhead back in his time in Massachusetts, which was really neat to see. And I think that was it. Yeah, that's all I had.
Just for the benefit of the online, the future appointees to the board.
Oh yeah, I have to apologize. I texted the governor's staff yesterday. The appointees are not here tonight, and they apologize for that also. And I won't promise next month either, because that's what I did last month, and I broke that promise. But I was assured of some movement again, but I can't make any promises. But again, Caledonia and Essex, they're still vacant, but moving along. Yeah. Neil, go ahead.
You want to mention Fish with a Warden Day? I know at Lake Shasberry, a couple wardens showed up and fished with a handful of people. I want to say last week.
Maybe I'll let the Colonel talk or Allie talk about that. I do know about the program. It's wonderful. But maybe they can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, they had 7 people show up.
Awesome.
Yeah, which is cool.
That's good.
One-on-one with the warden, pretty much.
Good ratio.
They caught fish, so that's the point.
Yeah, it's usually at a state park.
It is
right?
a state park, and we have just 4 on the books this year, so there's not many opportunities, and some have 30, some have 7, and they're all good.
Yeah, and it started a while back, and it was just a fun thing that that folks took a shining to get together and chat with the warden. I think people are, historically wondering if they're doing everything right while they're fishing, and that it was a really easy way to make sure that they were and talk to somebody you don't get to talk to very often. So yeah, I'm hopefully it was positive feedback down there. I'm sure it was. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any comments or anybody on the board, anything you want to add?
The 2 bear hearings. First one's gonna be so people can go online. Second one's not. Second one, still that way.
One's going to be in St. Johnsbury, right? One's going to be in Southern.
The 24th will be in St. Johnsbury, the 27th will be in Bennington.
Is that August?
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
first week of school.
Yeah.
Entire school.
Yeah. Yeah, same with us.
27, I think, 26, 27. Yeah. Anybody else have anything? We have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you all for attending. Have a good rest of your summer.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.